Feminists have gone loco. Hello and welcome to One Mail. In this video, we will discuss a particular chapter by Dr. Be Real and how he went on to explain why these modern women are now going to the extremes. Together, let's dive a bit more into their minds and how they think this way. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and like this. Fourth-wave feminists refer to this chapter as unpleasant truth invisible. Dr. Be Real, commonly known as Bob, discusses what these things are. But I feel it is also crucial to consider why the truth is invisible to feminists. Its sanity, in my opinion, is on a range. These freed women are imprisoned in ivory towers of bankrupt and broken beliefs. They haven't gone insane. They merely appear that way to someone conditioned socially. Women are in a very different way, considerably more likely to absorb whatever is socially acceptable at the top of the dominance hierarchy and spread it to the rest of society. Most men follow suit if they want sex, female affirmation, companionship, procreation, and a lady to adore, to acquire access to sex and reproduction. 90% of the population will act against reason, logic, and self-interest. If they are men and obtain social approval, their survival strategy is similar to zebra. In terms of socially acceptable and politically correct, they blend into the background and blend in with the herd. So, contrary to conventional thought, if you're an alpha zebra who promotes the idea of what is not normal, you can make insane look normal. As for this chapter, Bob just summarized what he said in previous chapters, but it got me thinking about my academic experiences. When I had to take a gender studies component in the late 1990s and how women would convince people to comply, there were these kids in the classroom who were brown-nosers who hung on every word the instructor said, and we just nicknamed them the Keeners. They would sit at the front of the class, accounting for approximately 45% of the course. Another 45 aspired to be like them and would sit behind them, seeking their approval in general. This occurred in an art school where people were meant to be creative and original. The truly creative types, including myself, would sit in the back of the classroom because we didn't fit into any category. We were individuals and misfits with our own opinions that didn't always agree with one another, but that was fine with us. We all had very distinct appearances and decided to disagree. So, why do feminists appear to have gone nuts, unable to comprehend that their ideology is irrational? Why was it that I sat in a so-called university program full of artists who were mostly conformists? The conformers were leftists who wished to ban non-Marxist ideas and beliefs, and individuals who weren't amenable to every facet of gender ideology and transhumanism they believed. I went through what Bob is talking about in this chapter around 25 years ago. But I didn't have YouTube or a book like this to help me get through it, contending that they are correct when everyone can see that they are not. Bob starts with the idea that the left was the counterculture fighting for freedom of speech, but the more I think about it, the more I view it as incorrect. They used freedom of speech as a temporary weapon until they established their ideas as the dominant form of discourse. When their beliefs became dominant, they restricted freedom of expression to ensure that no one could come in and change them. To them, freedom of expression was a means to an end, and it felt weird. This incorrect notion is widespread, that the so-called left believes more in freedom of expression or that it has been crushed. The majority of left-wing activists are charlatans. You discover this after going through the experience of perhaps being canceled by those who claim to be open to fresh ideas. What I learned at creative arts school is that truth is subjective. Creativity does not exist, An art school is designed to make you uncreative to deal with this issue. A fourth-wave feminist spreads irrational notions that eventually reach men. All we have to do is use technology to liberate men sexually and reproductively. That is preferable to real-life women because then lefties and feminists will be unable to influence men. The globalists and feminists have been defeated. Bob brings forth 100 unpalatable facts that fourth-wave feminists deny. It'd be fun to turn them into fake facts rather than actual lies and read some of them the way they were taught to me, so here we go. Truth, like beauty, is not objective. It is subjective. That is why they can be lovely in any size. They believe that reality is an objective, that it's all about perspective, which you can change based on what you educate them. They believe that emotions matter and are considerably more significant than facts. They also think biological differences between the sexes are merely social constructs and that changing social perception entails changing biology. As a result, women prioritize their careers because they believe that men seek a robust and empowered woman. The way women desire a powerful, empowered, high-earning, potential male, they feel that a degree demonstrates that they have been educated, but it merely indicates that they have been brainwashed and have paid an institution for a piece of paper. They feel that possessing degrees in lesbian dance, studies, and social justice qualifies them for more pay than others who went to trade school. They're intelligent but don't have a piece of paper to prove it. However, many university women today have degrees that tell everyone they're meant to be intellectual. Still, they're anything but, and women believe just because their name says Bachelor of Arts, they can be both creative and bachelors, even though they are nothing more than female conformists, and they chew up that line. They don't seem to realize that their feminist teachers are looking for more partners for late-night pleasure in gender studies class. They also believe that men are drawn to purple-haired hippos and dress accordingly, expecting men to love them. They are, nonetheless, gorgeous men who are chubby chasers. They probably believe that all men like massive lasses since a few men did. Bob also claims that feminists are envious of gorgeous women, which is why they seek to penalize both men and attractive women. Fourth-wave feminists also believe that because gender is a construct, men will find them attractive in whatever size as long as they have a super-duper career. They genuinely believe that men think like women and that if we don't, they can fix it. So yes, a guy will take a woman's profession seriously if he wants a family, but not just for casual encounters. Bob further claims that just because women believe in my body, my choice, it doesn't mean they realize that a man sees the way he chooses to live his life as his choice. Instead, they shame him if he does not wish to marry and decides to remain single. Instead, he claims that women do not grasp that the patriarchy does not exist. I respectfully disagree, but it is partially projected to conceal the reality that the matriarchy is in operation. It's also an opponent they can never beat, which means they can always collect more money because they have an oppressed sofa. He also makes an excellent argument by stating that if men and women were physiologically equal, they would not require preferential treatment in family courts. Women who were as intelligent and capable as men would require school subsidies to assist them, even though they now constitute the majority of university students, to demonstrate how drastically the world has changed. When I was in art school in the late 1990s, at least the girls in my program were aware that something was wrong. Their brainwashing hadn't taken hold as it does now. My female classmates were trying to modify the current curriculum that wasn't teaching us anything. It was a bait and flip. Bob compares fourth-wave feminism to cancer, which can never be cured. Bob also claims that fourth-rate feminists who identifies as victims are celebrated for their achievement. But, conversely, men who achieve success are vilified. That's the same old communist talking point. But the women are workers, and the males are bourgeoisie. Many of the arguments raised in Bob's chapter will be familiar to those interested in the men's rights movement in the Manosphere. For many years, issues such as the salary gap and equality rose, as have women declaring they don't need a guy but then wonder where all the good men have gone. It reminds me of Paula Cole's now forgotten song Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? Perhaps she should rewrite the song. Women seemed to be complaining about this back in the 1990s as well. Bob also underlines something many women miss. MGTOW is about survival, not hateful misogyny. He also makes a great point that I've been making for a long time. Characterizing men as toxic is a cover for toxic femininity. Some feminists stride hard to bring down and spread misinformation to the general public about MGTOW. So I made a video about this. If you want to know more, make sure to check out my previous video where I shared how threatened they are and what they did to the extremes to keep us from multiplying.